Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm so excited to do because I'm going to be ranking my most recent eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to show you some swatches and some looks that I happened to capture. Some of these palettes were recent launches and some of these palettes I've had in my collection for some time and they are very much loved. I am going to put them in the ranking from the worst to the best, and if that sounds interesting to you, please continue watching. So today I'm going to be ranking my last 12 palettes. Some of them are new, recently launched, and some have been in my collection for a little bit. A lot of these palettes are colorful, some of these palettes are neutral. Some of these palettes may surprise you why they ended up here. So lately I have been living in a neutral zone when it came to eyeshadow looks. I actually even surprised myself when I started using, or should I say went back to the type of makeup that I used to do, I don't know, 15 years ago, when I used to do just like a single eyeshadow with an eyeliner all over my lid. That's the type of makeup that I did quite a few times in the past few months, and I kind of enjoyed it. So there's some really fun palettes in front of me today, and I'm excited to share my thoughts with you. So as far as my makeup and my press-on nail set, I will have them linked for you in the description box, so check that out if you're interested. Before we get started, I would love to welcome new visitors and viewers to my channel. Hello, my name is Eve. I love all things beauty. Here on my channel I share about beauty and lifestyle. I hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe to my channel if you're not yet a subscriber. And without further ado, let's dive into eyeshadow palette ranking. Before I get into actual ranking, I do want to make a small disclaimer that none of these palettes are bad. In this ranking, I considered pretty much inspiration of a color story. That's what it really came down to, because this pile of eyeshadows is very good. So in spot number 12, I do have a relaunched palette from Nomad Cosmetics called Fetes de Provence. This is one of the 3 palettes that Nomad Cosmetics relaunched just recently, and I had so much fun playing with all 3 palettes. This palette ended up in the last spot today is simply because I feel like I am reaching to individual shades from this palette, and I tend to reach for other palettes to complete my looks. So this color story, even though it is very pretty and I did create some full looks out of this palette, I noticed that I tend to create either like very simple look, maybe like just this shadow or this shadow all over my lid and maybe like a light topper from a different palette, or just liquid eyeliner and mascara and just call it a day. Even though by looking at it, this palette is so beautiful, just such beautiful colors, but I feel like it's not super inspiring for me for some reason. I would love to see some of these shimmers being toppers, just have a little bit lighter consistency, gave it a little bit differentiation in texture, because that's what I noticed I would want to do with this palette. These 2 shades were my most used, and I really enjoyed this yellow shimmer as well. Such beautiful shades, and I really enjoyed this section specifically. Just like I mentioned earlier, this palette was one of the 3 palettes that were relaunched with a newer updated formula from Nomad Cosmetics, and the other 2 palettes I'm going to be talking a little bit later in today's video. So in the spot number 11, I do have a palette that I very much like, but for a specific reason. This is a Garden by Juvia's from Juvia's Place. This is a much lighter, more pastel color story. If you've been a subscriber on my channel, if you've watched any of my previous eyeshadow palette videos, especially decluttering videos, you know how much I love this palette, but I primarily love it and keep it in my collection for shimmers in this palette. The shimmers are gorgeous toppers, absolutely gorgeous toppers. So whenever spring and summer season comes around, this palette comes out here in the front and center on my table because I reach for it a lot. On the spot number 10, I do have a palette that is very new. It's the newest palette out of the bunch that was just recently launched, AmberGlow from Alter Ego. Very neutral palette. This is a palette that resembles the, I believe, I Need a Gold or something has to do with gold from Natasha Denona, which is the palette that I do not have in my collection. I skipped on that one, and I was happy to try this palette from Alter Ego. This palette was sent to me. This is a very neutral palette leaning gold. All the shades here are leaning some type of gold. This is definitely the most gold, and then you have like bronzy, and like there is a shade that's a little bit more of like the rose gold, but they are some type of gold. I used to enjoy golds a little bit more like here years ago, maybe even like 5 years ago, but I feel like now I'm reaching to golds, but it's something that's a little bit more subtle. In a very rare occasion, I would reach for something that's very vibrant, almost like yellow gold. You definitely can create some looks that differentiate from each other just a little bit. You can go a little bit lighter, you can go a little bit darker. There's definitely a gradient here. I will talk about individual shades a little bit more in depth in just a moment because I have not done a dedicated video on this palette. This is a very useful palette, but you don't get too much variety in here. And this is the reason why I rank this a little bit lower on the ranking list. And now let me share with you some thoughts on the formula and some specific shades here. I do really like this formula. The mattes feel very velvety, so easy to blend, and they do build up beautifully, and they're true to color. Whatever you see here, that's what you get. Also, two different shimmer formulas here. Most of these are more of like your satin shimmers. They're really nice, but they're satin, so if you do not like satins, I don't think this palette is for you. This shade and this shade, they have those very small multi-dimensional shimmer particles. They're not scratchy to your eyes, I just wanted to point that out, but they glimmer a little bit more than the rest of the shimmers. This shade right here, it's a cream to powder formula, which actually does build up and does look very beautiful on the brow bone as like that highlighter. It's actually a very pretty cream formula. On the spot number 9, I actually have a full collection launch. I thought that unpairing them would not be fair. Collection from Gourmand Girls, and this is an eyeshadow palette and a face palette. First of all, the inspiration and the design is so beautiful. When I got these two palettes, I was reading the book Amalfi Coast from Sarah Panner. She is the young upcoming author from St. Petersburg here in Florida. I read all of her books. She so far launched 3, and this was her recent launch that I got my hands on, and I was reading that book and this collection was launched. It was just like such a cool coincidence. But Call of the Sirens eyeshadow palette, very bold, not shy color story. It's a Mermaid Magic, which is a face palette, 3 blushes and 3 highlighters. Super beautiful, right? But a few words about this. This is a very nice formula that I know from Gourmand Girls in this palette. Mattes are beautiful, they're pigmented, they're blendable, just very, very good quality that I know from Gourmand Girls. And shimmers are not shy. They are bold, they're full foil shimmery. This blush actually turned out to be my favorite. I've used it quite a few handful of times because it's such a gorgeous peach shade. Overall, the pigment on the blushes is stunning. What I want to say about the face palette specifically is that these shades I would use mostly as an eyeshadows. They are a little bit too bold for me as highlighters. As far as the color story, I love the colors. I love the inspiration. When I was creating looks, I felt like I was missing lighter shades. So on spot number 8, I do have America's Parks from Nomad Cosmetics. Again, this is one of the 3 palettes that were relaunched from the older color stores with the newer formula, and what a fun color story. As far as the formula, I have no comments whatsoever. It's just the nice formula that I like from Nomad. They are just easily buildable and blendable. When I look at this palette, I see more of a fall season. We have been using like this shimmer right here and this shimmer right here. They're just so stunning. I've been using them just as a single eyeshadow all over my lid with a liner and just mascara, and they were just so stunning. They do not fade throughout the day. They have that beautiful sparkles that pick up extra on the light. So on the spot number next, I pulled out this palette from Kiko Milano that I purchased last year when I was traveling. This was their limited edition summer collection. It's called Gloss Supreme. It's called Over Earth Reflections. This layout of shades looks so like 90s makeup, but for some reason I'm vibing, and this color story I just really, really love. The mattes here have a little bit like that lighter wash. You do not get too much pigment. I would get that medium depth, which works so perfectly for like spring and summer, but the shimmers here are like the best version of Natasha Denona. I just love, love, love them. Really enjoyed using this palette in the past few months, quite a few times, and this is quite a unique palette to my collection. So the next palette is actually what's on my eyes today. This is the mini nude from Natasha Denona. I have to take these rubber bands off of it because This palette actually is broken. This is actually one of, I think, 3 palettes out of the 5 pans from Natasha Denona that has a broken lid. And I've seen a few other people that experience the same thing, but this was actually the first Natasha Denona palette that I've ever purchased several years ago, and I just really like it. And today I'm lightly tanned, and I think it just gives me just such a beautiful, like, neutral, very cohesive, monochromatic, summery look. I very much enjoy the formula. It's just no brainer. I love this palette very, very much. But the reason I put this here kind of like midway in my ranking is because it's just, for most part, it's a one-trick pony. So we're on the top 5, and palette number 5 is Nomad Polar Express. This is a holiday launch from Nomad Cosmetics. I love this color story. This is perfection for winter and fall for me. I love the burgundies. I love the neutrals. The blues are so much fun. And these icy white shades, it's just like such a perfection. I used this palette actually quite a bit when it was launched because it was a winter. But after March, I am heavily using this white matte shade in my inner corner. This is pretty much my daily go-to palette. I have significant dents going on here. I was digging into one spot, and then I was like, I do not want to see a pan. It would break my heart. And then I started digging into a different area, and now there's a second dent here. So now I think I have to like move to the next area over because I do not want to see a pan. I don't know what it is, but I like seeing pans in complexion products, but for some reason when it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I don't like seeing pans. This palette could probably be a number 1 palette today or in any other ranking because it's just such a good color story for me. I feel like this palette was made for me when it was launched. So on the spot number 4, you may be surprised, maybe not, but I have a Kylie Cosmetics Wet Shimmer Quad. This is the limited edition a quad that was launched for holidays in December or November, and I picked it up and I have 0 regrets. This is such an incredible formula. This is just your beautiful, beautiful shimmery, glimmery topper, and I really like all these like lighter shades, but they do show up with the undertone, and this palette traveled with me pretty much every single time I went somewhere this year. This is just such a beautiful topper formula, and I think they just now launched another version of it, like as a collection, as a part of a collection. I feel like the shades from the newer launch, I highly recommend it only because the quality is so good. So on the spot number 3, I have a really fun palette that just speaks to me. It's a Route 66 from Nomad Cosmetics. It's a little bit larger format from Nomad, 18 shades, but such a fun color story. These coral neutrals are so perfect for spring and summer for me, and even like early fall. And this shade and this shades have been my favorite. Some of these shimmers are just like so beautiful. This shimmer, and this shimmer, I just use them as a singles all over my lid, and they just look so, so pretty. On the spot number 2, I have a palette that's maybe not so exciting, but it is exciting for me. I'm a neutrals lover. It's one of my favorite formulas, and it's also just a neutral palette that I very, very much like. This is I Need a Warm from Natasha Denona. I really like this palette. I like this color story. It's a great formula. It's beautiful shimmers here. Even though you don't get like too much versatility, you have this beautiful duochrome shade. Or palette has an updated cream to powder formula as well, which is easier to work with than her older formula, and I very much enjoy it. It's just easy. It just delivers. I can go from day to night. I can just throw one shimmer all over the lid. That's end of the story. On the spot number 1, I have a palette that actually surprised me, and when I started playing with it, I was like, wow, this is such a fun palette. This palette would just speak to my soul so much. This is a Berlin Underground from Nomad Cosmetics. Again, this was one of the 3 older palettes from Nomad that was relaunched with a newer updated formula. This palette says grunge. Is so much fun. So I just want to wear this palette every day. I want to do smoky eyes. When I look at this palette, I'm like, I just want to do a smoky eye. These shimmers are so beautiful. Only 4 mattes. It's primarily shimmer heavy. Coppery red here. You got, there's like more purple, like some silver shades. This is more of like the bluer silver. This green gold, to die for. This shimmer is so gorgeous for inner corner. Has a like icy green shift to it. So this taupe is fire, literal fire. The mattes here are so beautiful. You even have a chance to do something a little bit more colorful. And this black is solid. It's so beautifully pigmented, so easy to use. And I love that there's like a true smoky eye where you can just go at it, you know, and then you have a inner corner highlight, which is not just like your icy champagne, whatever, basic stuff, but this is just such an interesting and like very high quality shimmer as well. I thoroughly enjoy this. This palette is so exciting to me, but I definitely feel like it has like more of a late fall and winter season moment for me. So once the fall comes around, this palette is going to be front and center. So these are all the palettes that I wanted to rank for you today. Do you have any of these palettes in your collection? What have you been loving lately in the last few months? What has been the most exciting palette, or what kind of look have you been doing? I haven't filmed in a while and I've missed you guys. I miss talking about makeup, and I have so many questions for you. So let's chat under this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, enjoy my company today. If you're not yet a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.